We had a crash in the crypto market, and right now, followed by that, we are getting a giant in the banking industry dropping. And that does not look really good. They have the deposits of the institutions like Circle and most likely Ripple. And for sure, this does not ease the pain. But do you think USDC as a stable coin is going to go away? Yes, money is moving out of it and jumping into USDT, Tether. But the real question is, do you think that's going to drop dead? I think the chances for that is really low. Why? We just have a circular issued from Circle and we are looking through the details and how it turns out. They gave the clear data and transparency highlighting what's happening there. But is that it? No, we really need to evaluate for the situation based on what it is. We have information from the UK. We have information from the US. And it's not just ending there. We also know this extends to other countries like Canada. Shopify is banking in Silicon Valley Bank. There are the big players in regional big players like Lightspeed using the same institution. Now, it's not just those, right? We know it's hundreds of institutions, startups, tech industry is going to get hit hard if this does not get solved soon. And that's where this kind of comes in, right? Hearing rumors that the FedEx is blocking. And I'm like, why would you even block with someone coming in and buying this bank right now, saying that would create too much concentration, right? So let's actually evaluate the situation for what it is right now. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. If you like the content and the topic which we are discussing here, please do consider hitting that like and subscribe button so that you stay updated on all these videos. Now, yes, the thing does not look really great when you are zoomed in, but you really have to take a step back and look at how things are evolving, because we do have trend lines which we are observing right now. On the short term, it's trending down. On the long term, it's trending up. So it is mandatory to come back out and look for the macro structure. Then, yes, looking at the short-term structure does give us some kind of idea that, okay, there is a possible short-term run, which is just a retest of the recent break to the downside, right? So it's really important to see what's happening here. We are below a critical level of support, which can be the resistance right now, and we need to see price pushing back above it. Yes, the pattern we are observing is positive in the RSI, but this outcome is going to be really important. Say Circle here, which is one of the highly regulated stable coins out there, and them coming out and putting this information, I think, is a key idea to understand for us who are in the market. They are highlighting that it is collateralized by 77% in US Treasury bills, which is, considered as zero risk investment at that point. And it's, short term. They're highlighting it's 3 months or less, which is, quite liquid. Then 23% cash at different institutions, not just in one institution, which actually went down. So even if we think like, okay, that's around 10 billion in cash and they are in different banking industry, it's still like 3 to 4 billion in one bank. That is still a possibility considering the location of it and the nature of the bank and its dealing. Then the other things which is interesting here is that the reserves are held in custody by BNY Mellon, so that's safe, that's in another bank, and the active liquidity and asset management is by BlackRock. So I'm like, okay, we do get some big names here, so most likely these T-bills, and it's not completely going to wipe this out, but for sure, if they as they clearly highlight here, if this scenario turns out, it can be negative, meaning it may just delay the time by which they actually get the amount. They may just get the IOUs for the time being to, calm them down, calm the market down, because they really have to go after a lot of others who really need to get this money out to put their payrolls out this month for sure, because that's how things work in SVB, considering all those tech players inside them. And I understand there's only like 2 to 3% is below $250,000. So the FedEx insurance is only covering that, unless the total assets of this bank can cover that. Now, the understanding right now is that SVB has around 200 billion in assets and 340 billion in customer deposits. That's based on 2022 December, I think. If that's true, rates have gone up after that, which means the asset values went down. So even the collateral at that point for SVB does not look good. So if this is happening when central banks have been pushing the rates to the upside, banks are getting screwed because they have their long-term debts. If that's a callable bond, it's a different story. Most likely in these circumstances where the interest rates have been low for a long period of time, most investors tend to go for a non-callable bond because they want to secure that interest rate for the long run. And banks are getting screwed. Why? The rates went up. So just SVB was highlighting by 25 basis point hike, they were losing a ton of money. And we just went through like 450 basis points. So that's an entirely different story. What just happened there, right? So it's not only in the US or the UK. We are going to literally observe this happening in different countries. But for Circle, for USDC, I really don't think it's going to completely kick off the crypto market. Look at the volume here. This is right now 10 billion. Tether is 40. Bitcoin itself is 25 billion. So I don't think like the market is actually going to be completely shaken and moved out, even if this actually goes wrong. But the fact that even during this time, it's not back up to 0.999 is concerning. I agree on that point, because this is not a shit coin we're talking about. This is about the highly regulated or the most regulated stable coin out there in the crypto market, right? That's the concerning part. Now, on the positive note, we're looking at the price action. We're trying to see, can the price really push back up? Can we really do a retest of the range which we broke recently? Now, while we go into that, I would actually say like this is really important. First, understanding the macro structure, where we came from and where we are at right now is so important before we evaluate where we are going next. Because in the short run, you may actually see a ton of volatility based on whatever is happening out there. But if you really understand this is what we are looking for the future, it does look bright. Yes, short term, we are observing a lot of panic. We are literally saying how things are evolving. But once you take a couple of steps back, it tends to be a little bit calmer. This is zoomed in view, like a 4-hour chart. You broke to the downside, the pattern was bullish. You broke that to the downside, which makes it completely bearish. And then you may have a retest, getting rejected, all those scenarios on the short term. Now you step a little bit back to look at this on a daily. And the daily chart shows you like we are still below our support. We need to get back up, but the pattern is showing something in the price action. Bulls are entering. The RSI is suggesting a bullish pattern, which is not confirmed yet. We didn't break higher, but the game actually moves really to the side of bullish thought process once you are in a weekly chart. You had this range, which was a previous resistance. You broke that with momentum. Now you are retesting that range. Yes, you came below that, dipped into the zone, touched the moving average, the 200-day moving average, and then slowly bounced back up. Now this is 21-day moving average. 200-day moving average on a daily was close to 19,700. So we hit that level and then we are slowly trying to bounce back off. Right now the price of Bitcoin is 2450. Remember, the region of 2600, 2500 is a pivotal range. So that once we break about this level, we are now trying to push back into the range where we have been. And that now goes back on the macro. That means next move up in Bitcoin is going to be $29,000 to $31,000. Now, when we sit here at 20,000, saying, okay, we are going to go to 30,000 does not sound really good for a lot of individuals. But remember, when we were close here, while we were making this higher low, we actually did say, okay, most likely 24 to 25,000 is where we are going to go. And the price actually did that. But yes, we thought we are going to have a break to the upside, and we had a confusion whether we're going to test 29 and come back down or drop back down from there. That was the real confusion back then. But right now, the market just confirmed with all these volatility happening in the market, A, B, C, D, and that's painful, right? It actually did a 5-wave structure to the downside, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, in which the 5th wave was really painful, right? The push to the downside here with all these panics and whales interfering was so bad, right? We were looking for like 2,500. It went to 20,000. And at some point, the long wicks came in and it even touched 19,600, which is painful. Now, while we actually look at assets like XRP, it's more stable than these stable coins right now. So you can trust this asset, right? For like last 300 days, we haven't moved. We're still at this range. That's good. With all these volatility in the market, we are literally not dropping. At least that's bullish. But keep this in mind, on a macro structure for asset like this, we are still holding on to this. Now, when we actually go into the market trying to look for if there are assets which are actually moving up, we need to actually understand what that particular asset is doing in terms of the price action. And that's where we actually now look at HEX. Not a lot of people are in favor for this project based on what the founder, the leader of the institution or the project, and how he runs the project. But what I'm looking at is like, whether I like the project or not, it doesn't matter, right? It's how the market react for that particular project. So if I'm here looking at this project on a weekly and I'm observing that the RSI, the strength of the buyers here is so high, it actually reflects that it has this level of strength. Now, back then, you were here, that's the all-time highs. So whether I'm right or wrong, the market is now looking at this asset and the market is interested in this asset because the pattern here did suggest us it is slowly turning positive. Then it broke to the upside. It came to retest this trend line. Now we observe that this trend line is also broken. On the shorter horizon, you will see a retest and right now trying to bounce off. Now, if that bounce is not confirmed, you get rejected, you come back down, that's good. Meaning you don't like the asset and it is coming back down. But look at the volume here. While we were bouncing, we really had a couple of green volume, which actually engulfs all these volume. That means someone is buying into this asset heavily. Now, yeah, the idea goes on to a weekly, then to a 3-day. You literally can digest this information in different ways. But look at the RSI here. If you are seeing what I'm seeing right now, this level was the resistance for the RSI. It consolidated in that range for a long period of time, right? You went up, you got rejected, you went down, you came back up, retested, got rejected, went back up, retested, got rejected. And right now, you went above that. So while you come back down, that should be your support, right? That's what we see in crypto market. That's what we most likely see in terms of the technical analysis everywhere, right? Now, if we go back in history to see what a trend line support in RSI looks like, it can also be like this, pushing you to the upside, right? So we got that narrative, we got that idea on a 3-day, it's bullish, it's not bearish. The RSI is at a support, and even during the correction, it's maintaining 60s, which is bullish. Anything above 50, 55 in the RSI should be considered like that. Now, you can go back literally on a weekly or a monthly and look for what the price action was showing just before this happened, right? And that's where we actually get this idea. While we analyze this, we understand that the last candle here showed us that bulls are slowly getting stronger. But what's more important to understand is that we got a similar candle, somewhat similar candle here, and that did not materialize well. Why is that? That's some thing which, a lot of people actually ask, because that was not a support resistance level. Whereas here, when you are making that, it happens to be just above our previous level, which is a support right now. So this does matter. Getting these price action, the patterns, the bullishness above our support makes a huge difference. Meaning, whatever you see, a lot of other people in the market is also observing. And if they think it's above a huge support, they will enter. That's why when you come on to a weekly chart, you see an engulfing candle happening above a support, and then it went up, right? Great. Now, the possibility of getting same candlestick pattern or the price action in different assets is really hard, but we are observing some of those materializing, some of those breaking to the upside and retesting. Here, Ether is just below the resistance, but we do have other side of assets which are above this, which broke above, which is coming back down to retest. So most likely they may actually bounce, right? So the situation in the market is like tense, right? There are some assets which are dropping. There are some which is just below a resistance. There are some which is above a support. And it makes a difference when you actually look at these and understand what it is, right? And that's why we actually go through all of this, trying to give you the right perspective at the right time. And if you are interested in things like that, you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.